Stack the shields, Warband. The tape moved overnight, and it moved against Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. The line I told you the whole structure hung on did not hold. Bitcoin lost it in the dark. The engine called the roll before the candle did, and at 8:30 this morning, the inflation number lands on top of the wreckage. Listen, as of just past 5 Eastern, Bitcoin trades at 61,200, down about 2.5% on the day, and down some 17% on the week. That is its worst week of the year, and it broke the level that mattered most. For days I marked 62,700 as the hinge the entire bull case swung on. Hold it and the structure lives. Lose it and the next shelf sits far below. This morning we are under it. The hinge gave way. Ethereum fell with it, down better than 3% to 1,620. Solana took the hardest blow, down better than 4.5% to $64. And MicroStrategy, the leveraged proxy the whole Warband watches, closed near 117. The proxy bleeding faster than the coin, exactly as it does when the complex rolls over. Here is what the engine did and why you pay for it. Yesterday morning at 8 Eastern, the Invest Answers decision support system flipped Bitcoin's optimized trend bearish. By noon, it flipped Ethereum the same way. Solana had already turned. 3 majors, the same signal, the same window. And when the whole complex turns together, that is not noise, that is a regime call. The engine was not guessing at the break. It marked the trend dead before the price confirmed it. And it did not stop at crypto. By 1:30, it flipped the Nasdaq's own proxy, and the crowded networking names trend negative too. The risk came off everything that runs on borrowed liquidity at once. Then into the close, the second signal. Bitcoin and Solana both fired mean reversion over Sol, and Solana fired it again at 4 o'clock this morning. Read the two together correctly. Optimized trend bearish says the trend is broken. Do not pretend it isn't. Mean reversion oversold says the rubber band is now stretched hard to the downside, the zone where the strong hands feed, not flee. The chain says the same thing in colder numbers. For the first time this cycle, more coins now sit underwater than in profit. The loss side crossed above the profit side, the exact capitulation signature that has marked the great bottoms. Bitcoin tagged its 200-week moving average for the first time this cycle, the level that has launched every prior accumulation. Momentum printed its lowest reading of the entire move. But I will not sell you only the bounce. The funds are running for the doors. The spot Bitcoin vehicles just bled better than $3 billion in an 11-session streak, the worst weekly outflow since early last year, and the desks pin it on the macro, not on Sailor. Jobs came in hot. The rate cut rescue is gone, and yield-bearing paper got more tempting than the hardest money on earth. The prediction markets now price 4 in 5 odds that Bitcoin prints below 60,000 before the year is out, and the sober on-chain shops still mark a deeper low near 54,000 if capitulation has further to run. Hold both truths. The merchants debase, the warriors stack. So you accumulate in tranches into the oversold, you demand a reclaim of the level that broke before you call the turn, and you let the engine, not your adrenaline, ring the bell. And every screen now bends toward 8:30 this morning. The May inflation print is the fulcrum of the month. The street looks for 4.2% on the year, hotter than April, and the desks have drawn the line clean. A number under 4% lights a relief rally. A number at or above 4.2 kills the last hope of a cut and presses the bleed. The Federal Reserve meets next week, and the markets price near certainty. It does nothing. So Bitcoin gets no gift from the central bank. It trades on the number, and then it trades on what the strong hands do with the number. Now lift your eyes off the candle, because on Friday, the largest public listing in the history of capital markets hits the tape. And it is not the company you think it is. SpaceX comes to the Nasdaq under the letters SPCX, guided near $1.75 trillion. But the thing you would be buying is no longer a pure rocket company. Back in February, SpaceX swallowed xAI whole in an all-stock deal, the largest corporate merger ever struck, $1.25 trillion in a single stroke. So the entity that lists Friday bundles 3 engines under one ticker, the rockets, the Starlink network overhead, and the artificial intelligence lab that builds Grok, the entire Musk flywheel in one instrument for the first time. Read the prospectus with clear eyes because it tells 2 stories at once. Starlink is a monster, better than $4 billion of operating profit last year, more than 60% of all revenue, better than 10 million subscribers across 160-odd countries, nearly 10,000 satellites already in orbit, throwing off cash every single month. That is one of the cleanest scarcity monopolies on Earth, built on physical orbital shells and spectrum no committee can vote into being. But staple it to the AI lab and the combined picture turns red. Better than $18 billion in revenue against a net loss of nearly $5 billion, because that lab burned better than $6 billion in operating losses on barely $3 billion of revenue, and the first quarter of this year ran deeper still. So you are not buying a profit machine. You are buying a profitable orbital monopoly bolted to a cash-incinerating frontier AI lab, priced for the flywheel to spin, not for the cash it throws today. And Mark Musk's own stated reason for fusing them before the bell, orbital data centers. Compute in space, fed by the solar abundance up there and the network already in orbit to carry it. And it is not pure faith. The filing already names a paying anchor for that compute, Anthropic, contracted to draw capacity from the Colossus data center at $1.25 billion a month, locked through 2029. So the burn has a customer, not just a dream. Whether the rest is vision or madness, this is the trade in its purest form. Orbital scarcity and compute scarcity, welded into a single ticker a retail account can finally hold. It is a decade-long ownership decision wearing a one-day costume. Know which one you are making before Friday's open. Here is the frame, Warband. The trend is broken, and the engine says so plainly, but broken and oversold in the same breath is the exact ground where conviction is forged and weak hands are emptied. The number prints at 8:30. Trade it with a plan, not a pulse. Accumulate in pieces into the stretch. Demand the reclaim before you trust the turn, and let Friday's monster remind you what real scarcity is worth. This is Warband as a service, Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. Stand armored, stack relentless, let the weak hands feed the fire.